If your world is collapsing, listen to me. That collapse is not the end. It is the test. It is the furnace through which all greatness must pass. No man ever received power, riches, peace, or purpose without first being tried by chaos. If everything around you is breaking, it is because something within you is being summoned. Stay calm, for God always tests the man before he trusts him with the reward. If you have reached the hour when your world seems to be breaking, when your plans lie in ruins, when your strength is spent, when your name is forgotten, when even those closest to you have turned away, do not despair. For that hour, my friend, is not your destruction. It is your proving ground. It is the moment when infinite intelligence weighs your soul to see if you are fit to receive what you have dared to desire. And mark me well when I say this, no man ever receives the crown of success until he has first passed through the fire of suffering without flinching. I know what I am speaking of. Every man I ever studied, Carnegie, Edison, Ford, Lincoln, Rockefeller, each one stood upon the edge of total collapse before they were elevated. Each one was placed under a load so heavy, so dark, so seemingly unbearable, that all outward evidence pointed to defeat. And yet they stood still. They did not tremble, they did not beg, they did not curse the heavens, they grew quiet, they grew definite, they grew calm. And it was in that calm, while the world watched them sink, that their power was born. For calmness in the storm is not natural. It is spiritual. It is not passivity. It is power. And it is the mark of the man who will be entrusted with great things. So if you hear me now in the furnace, do not cry out in panic. Be still. Gather yourself. For the trial you are in is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal you. God tests every man before he gives. And he gives only to those who can remain calm when all else falls apart. This moment of your collapse is your invitation to power. And I am here to tell you how to meet it like a man who refuses to drift, refuses to beg, refuses to fall apart with the world around him. I am here to teach you the laws, the steps, the commands, and the calmness that turns defeat into dominion. Listen closely now, for the test has already begun. Part 1. The test always comes before the treasure. All permanent success is earned, not gifted. The world may deliver you temporary advantage through inheritance or luck, but nothing of lasting value is ever yours until you have proven yourself worthy of it. Infinite intelligence entrusts no man with power until he has passed through the discipline of trial. And that trial always comes before the treasure. The trial comes not when you feel strong, but when your strength is gone. It comes not when the wind is behind you, but when the wind strikes your face and knocks the breath from your lungs. It comes when your plans collapse, your income ceases, your friends scatter, and your self-belief flickers like a dying flame. That is when the test begins, and that is where the treasure is hidden. What most men call failure is not failure at all. It is filtration. Life sifts through the ranks of the ambitious, the hopeful, the dreamers, and it separates those who merely wish for success from those who are prepared to pay for it in full measure. The test always comes before the treasure because the test is what makes a man capable of holding the treasure. You may wonder why this law exists. Why must pain precede progress? Why must effort go unanswered? The answer is simple. Because power must be handled with maturity. Because riches must be governed with wisdom. Because success in the hands of an undisciplined man becomes poison. And so life must ask, are you ready to receive what you desire? Look at the man who gave light to the world, Thomas Edison. He was told he had no education. He was dismissed as foolish. He worked in darkness for years, trying filament after filament, experiment after experiment, each one failing. 10,000 failures, they say. But he never broke. He never panicked. He never collapsed into despair. He remained calm. That calmness was not weakness, it was power. When asked how he endured so many failures, Edison replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Do you see the mind of mastery in that? Do you see the spirit of persistence that refuses to call failure what is merely preparation? That man passed the test before the treasure, and so the treasure obeyed him. Understand this: the way you behave under pressure is the report card of your belief. If you crumble, you reveal that your belief was shallow. If you complain, you reveal that your desire was weak. If you drift, you show that your aim was never definite. But if you remain calm, if you press forward in silence, you prove yourself a fit instrument of success. When the world strikes you down, it is not proof of defeat. It is an invitation to prove your inner mastery. It is the summoning of the man within, the part of you that does not flinch, does not doubt, and does not bow. The part of you that has declared war on fear. That part of you is not made in comfort. It is made in trial. Do not curse the test. Bless it. For the test is a doorway. Every spiritual law has its physical parallel, and in the physical world, gold must be melted before it is molded. The same is true of the soul. Your crisis is the crucible. It is the fire meant not to consume you, but to consume what cannot remain. Pride, fear, impatience, weakness, these are burned so that only gold remains. You may not feel like gold. You may feel shattered, anxious, uncertain. But I tell you, what survives fire is what you truly are. That's why I give you this affirmation, not for beauty, but for war. I welcome the trial, for I am made of what survives fire. Speak it when you wake. Speak it when you fall. Speak it when the noise of defeat rattles in your mind like a drumbeat of despair. The man who commands calmness commands reality, because nothing can dominate a man who will not react in panic. Nothing can defeat a soul who walks by principle, not by appearance. Do you understand now why calmness is the mark of greatness? Because it is the posture of power, the trait of kings, the signature of men who cannot be moved by appearances. Let me speak plainly. The world is not against you. It is simply waiting to see who you are under pressure. Your family may doubt you. Your funds may dry up. Your friends may leave. Your body may ache. But none of those are your enemy. Your only enemy is fear. And fear feeds on your reaction. Deny it food. Deny it attention. Let fear starve while you continue. You must adopt the demeanor of a general, not one who barks with fury, but one who commands with presence. In the heat of war, the true leader grows quieter, more focused, more composed, because he knows that emotion clouds judgment, but calmness sharpens it. Be that general over your own mind. Success is not found in frantic effort. It is found in sustained obedience to a definite plan, held with calmness and carried out with persistence. You will not build your fortune by rushing from task to task or reacting to every storm. You will build it by holding to your definite purpose like a lighthouse holds to its beam, steady, silent, unshaken. And when the treasure does not come on your schedule, when the doors you knocked on remain closed, remember that silence is not rejection. It is redirection. Delay is not denial. It is design. The test is still in session. Hold your posture. Hold your ground. Hold your calm. The man who wins is not the one who never trembled. He is the one who learned to discipline his trembling. He is the one who declared, "I will remain no matter what comes." The winds of failure may blow, the rains of doubt may fall, but his feet are planted, his voice is calm, his gaze is fixed, and success has no choice but to bow before that kind of man. So I ask you now, will you endure this fire? Will you welcome it as a friend? Will you pass the test so that you might receive the treasure? Or will you shrink back, curse the difficulty, and demand what you have not yet earned? Only you can answer, but remember this: calmness when all else collapses is how infinite intelligence recognizes its champions. Not by your comfort, not by your words, but by your unshakable spirit under trial. This is your trial. Let us move forward into the next law. Part 2. Definite chief aim is the anchor in any storm. He who drifts drowns, but the man who holds fast to a definite chief aim can stand upright in any storm. I have never known a man of greatness who did not first write his purpose in blood upon the walls of his own mind. When all else is taken from you, your wealth, your praise, your comforts, your only safeguard is your definite purpose. You will find that the man who suffers most in chaos is not the one who has lost money or favor. It is the one who never knew what he was building. The drifter, the vague dreamer, the uncertain soul. They are the first to fall when the ground shakes. But the man of purpose cannot be destroyed. His losses are temporary. His direction remains. A man without a chief aim is like a ship without a rudder, tossed by every wave, turned by every wind, led by the whims of others and not the command of his own will. But a man with a written aim knows where he is going, and no storm, no betrayal, no reversal of fortune can make him forget it. He does not guess. He acts. Let us remember Henry Ford, a man of unwavering direction. His dream was not vague. He was not interested in prestige or applause. His definite purpose was clear: to build a motor car so reliable and so inexpensive that any working man could afford it. They mocked him. They said it was impossible. He did not answer. He built it. And when the financial markets collapsed, when competitors grew more vicious, when men questioned his intelligence, he still held to the same chief aim. He did not let failure alter it. He did not let criticism distort it. He held to it as a man grips the mast of a ship in violent weather, and the storm passed. The car was built. The name Ford became permanent. Now I ask you, what is your chief aim? Do not say to be rich. That is no aim. Do not say to be successful. That is air. You must define it, specify it, refine it, put it into words that carry fire, and when you have it, write it, frame it, mount it before your eyes, and declare it to yourself twice each day, once upon rising, once before sleeping. A written purpose read daily becomes a mental anchor. It seizes the wandering attention, disciplines the thoughts, and guides the emotions like reins guide a horse. And in the hour of crisis, when all seems lost, that purpose will speak louder than fear. It will whisper, "This is the path. Stay the course." That voice is not imaginary. It is the voice of power. There are men who will laugh when you tell them you have a chief aim. Let them laugh. They are not laughing at you. They are laughing at what they do not understand. A man without purpose must mock the man with purpose or admit his own poverty. Your duty is not to explain your aim, but to obey it. Let your results speak. The man who holds a definite purpose moves differently. His words are measured. His time is sacred. He is not swayed by the gossip of the crowd or the fear of the times. His calmness is not an accident. It is rooted in direction. He knows what he is here to do, and he does it, with silence, with fire, with faith. I say again, purpose does not perish in pressure. Purpose rises. If your aim is real, if you have written it, believed it, spoken it daily, it will not collapse when the world does. It will not wither in delay. It will not tremble in trial. It will grow. Because definite purpose is spiritual law in motion. You do not need the approval of others. You need the obedience of self. Your success will not be handed to you. It will be grown through daily loyalty to your chief aim. There will be days you feel no progress, days when nothing moves. That is when you must move yourself. That is when you must return to your purpose, read it again, and act upon it again. The law is simple. Energy flows where purpose is definite. Attention strengthens where desire is organized, and results appear not when you beg for them, but when you persist for them with unwavering direction. It is not the dreamer who receives the crown. It is the one who aligns every thought, word, and action behind a single burning aim. I give you now a command, not a suggestion. Write your chief aim, make it clear, make it personal, make it complete. It must include the object of your desire, the time by which you will possess it, the plan by which you will acquire it, and the service you intend to render in exchange. Leave no room for vagueness. Vague desire produces vague results. When it is written, read it aloud. When you wake, read it. Before you sleep, read it. When you feel strong, read it. When you feel afraid, read it louder. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are programming the subconscious mind, which obeys repetition, not emotion. Let this affirmation be yours. My chief aim is stronger than my crisis. My mind is stayed on my mission. I am not distracted. I am not delayed. I am not denied. These are not pretty words. These are spiritual tools. Say them with fire. Say them until they become the law of your thinking. Remember this above all. Calmness is not a passive mood. It is the outer expression of a mind that knows what it is here to do. When men do not know what they are building, they panic at the sound of thunder. But when a man builds by design, storms may shake the house, but they do not shake the builder. There are voices that will try to distract you, your old habits, your disappointments, your comparisons, your fear of criticism. Silence them with your aim. Each time you are tempted to drift, return to your declaration. Each time you are tempted to shrink, read your aim again. The repetition is the rewiring. The repetition is the reformation. In time, you will become one with your aim. It will live in your gestures, your words, your thoughts. It will push you forward when you are weary. It will correct your course when you falter. It will replace emotion with direction. And when the world falls apart, you will not fall with it, because your mind will be fixed and your eyes will be clear. This is not theory. It is law. It is the law that lifted Ford, the law that carried Edison, the law that sustained Carnegie. Each man held to one thing, a definite chief aim. And because they held it, they held everything else that followed. Do likewise. If you are in a storm, this is your anchor. If you are in confusion, this is your compass. If you are in despair, this is your weapon. Use it, speak it, obey it, and you will not drift. You will endure, and in enduring, you will rise. Let us move forward. Part 3, faith is mastery over conditions. Faith is not belief in what you can see. It is belief that remains when nothing can be seen. The true test of a man's belief is not when his prayers are answered, but when the heavens are silent. If you only believe when conditions are favorable, you have no faith, you have convenience. And convenience has never lifted a man to greatness. Let me speak it plainly. Faith is not an emotion. It is a state of mind. It is built, not born. It is forged through repetition, not found in reaction. It is the inward certainty that infinite intelligence moves in exact harmony with your definiteness of thought and persistence of action, even when nothing around you seems to confirm it. The man who wins is the man who believes before the evidence, and he continues to believe after the evidence is gone. His calmness is not weakness, it is dominion. His silence is not confusion, it is strength held in reserve. He does not collapse when the tide goes out. He does not doubt when the wind turns against him. He walks forward with decision, because he knows that conditions are servants, not masters. Let us turn our eyes to Abraham Lincoln, defeated for public office again and again, ridiculed, doubted, counted out. Yet he did not bow to circumstances. He did not say, "The people do not believe in me." He said, "I must believe first, and belief will make a way." And in time, he held the highest seat in the land, but it was not given. It was believed into being. Do you think you are the only one who has suffered setback? The only one who has been misunderstood, mocked, rejected? That is the proving ground of every man of faith. For faith is not built in sunlight. It is built in fog. It is not forged in applause. It is forged in the absence of recognition. And those who master faith master the world. I tell you now, to believe when the bank account is empty, when your name is forgotten, when your friends doubt you, that is real faith. That is not foolishness. That is spiritual precision. Because you are no longer taking your instructions from circumstances. You are taking them from vision, from purpose, from definiteness. Faith is not passive. It is the most active force in the mind. It moves the subconscious. It influences the master mind. It magnetizes the people, circumstances, and events needed to fulfill your aim. But faith must be planted, watered, and spoken daily, or it dies from neglect. No man can afford a day without speaking his faith aloud. That is why I gave you the self-confidence formula, a series of declarations to be spoken morning and night until your belief becomes a command. These are not affirmations for comfort. They are affirmations for conquest. Speak them aloud, whether your feelings agree or not, because the subconscious mind obeys tone, repetition, and definiteness, not emotion. Here is what you must say. I believe in myself. I believe in my vision. I believe that infinite intelligence watches over all who persist with purpose. I believe that obstacles are opportunities in disguise. I believe that I was made to triumph, not to drift. Say these words not as poetry, but as decree. Speak them with power. Every time you speak faith into your system, you install a new pattern. And when spoken consistently, that pattern becomes permanent. The subconscious accepts it as law, and the moment it is accepted as law, your body, your mind, and your environment begin to move in alignment with it. This is not imagination. It is law. Your faith is your governor. It determines the boundaries of your achievement. A man who believes he is cursed by fate, by others, by limitation, will never see the open door. But the man who believes that infinite intelligence rewards persistence, obedience, and definiteness, he sees where others stumble. He walks where others quit. I give you this line to burn into your soul. Infinite intelligence is not ignoring my prayers. It is testing my faith. If you will understand that, you will no longer panic in silence. You will no longer complain during delay. You will recognize that what looks like rejection is often refinement, and refinement is always the prelude to reward. The calm man speaks faith until faith speaks through him. He does not borrow his energy from his feelings. He draws it from conviction. His friends may waver. His income may shrink, his support may vanish, but he remains. He believes, because he knows the law. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Now listen carefully. The most dangerous time in your journey is not the beginning, when you are full of energy. It is not the middle, when you are tested. It is when you are closest to breakthrough, but feel furthest from reward. That is when most men quit. That is when most men drift, because they cannot see results, and so they stop believing. You must refuse that weakness. You must walk forward, eyes fixed on the vision, speaking belief into the very air. Do not let your environment dictate your expression. Do not let your senses drown your spirit. The man who rules conditions is the man who refuses to be ruled by conditions. Let this be your affirmation. I do not depend on the evidence of sight. I walk by the evidence of belief. I command my mind. I speak my faith. I expect my reward. Say it when you feel empty. Say it when you feel delayed. Say it when all seems lost. And say it again, because each time you speak it, you prove your dominion. You were not made to be blown by the wind. You were made to command your thoughts, and those thoughts become beliefs, and those beliefs become action, and that action becomes result. This is the chain of creation. But it begins with faith. Faith before sight, faith before ease, faith before applause. There is no nobility in hopelessness, no virtue in collapse, no glory in spiritual drift. That is not strength. That is surrender. And you were not made to surrender. You were made to command. And your command begins with the decision to believe, even when all else says you are foolish for doing so. The world does not reward the man who waits for proof. It rewards the man who believes so deeply, so unshakably, that proof is forced to appear. That is the faith I am building in you now. That is the faith that cannot be broken by delay. That is the faith that moves mountains, not by shouting, but by marching. So I ask you now, have you spoken your belief today? Have you reminded your mind who is in command? Have you taken back your authority from circumstance, from fear, from drift? If not, begin now. Begin with this. I am the one who believes when all others doubt. I am the one who commands his mind. I am the one who is being prepared. Let the winds blow, let the evidence vanish, let the night grow long. You are not dependent on any of it. You are dependent only on your decision. And you have decided to believe. And because you believe, you will receive. Let us go forward. Part 4. The power of stillness in the hour of collapse. The man who panics proves that he has no power. The man who shouts at his hardship, flails against his trial, complains of his condition. He reveals that he is mastered by circumstance, not master of self. Panic is the language of drift. But calmness in the middle of collapse, is the unmistakable mark of spiritual strength. You must understand this. Stillness is not absence of motion. It is presence of mastery. A weak man must keep moving to feel alive, but a powerful man moves only with precision. He is not rushed by emotion. He is not stirred by gossip. He is not enslaved by fear. He remains, he stands, he commands. There is a power in stillness that confuses your enemies, silences your critics, and summons the forces of infinite intelligence in your favor. Why? Because stillness is the signal that you trust the law. You trust the process. You do not need to see everything at once. You do not need to explain. You do not need to beg. You remain composed. Think of the general who sits at the edge of the battlefield. Cannon fire sounds, the dust rises, reports arrive with urgency, but he does not leap from his chair. He does not show fear. He calculates, he studies, he commands. And because he is still, the men under his authority remain strong. Because he is calm, chaos cannot conquer. This is not imagination. This is historical truth. Consider Charles Schwab, the steel magnate, who watched markets crumble and confidence disappear. Where others ran to the newspapers or to the politicians, Schwab remained still. He gathered his men, he made his decisions, and he restructured what others had abandoned. That stillness birthed recovery. The storm does not spare the anxious, it exposes them, but it honors the calm. Not because the calm man avoids the storm, but because he walks through it without bending. His posture is proof that his trust is not in the weather, but in the principle, not in chance, but in law, not in appearance, but in authority. You must never forget, your emotional state must not mirror your conditions. Your inner stillness must master your outer chaos. You were not designed to be reactive. You were designed to be reflective. The world screams. You listen inward. The world shakes. You remain rooted. The world runs. You move only when the time is right. Let this become your daily affirmation. I am calm, for I am led. I am still, for I trust the process. I do not shake. I stand. Say it until it becomes your spiritual armor. Say it until your heartbeat matches your vision, not your fears. Say it until your presence itself carries the energy of leadership. You will not survive the storm by resisting it violently. You will endure it by planting your soul so deeply in faith and definiteness that nothing external can move you. That is what it means to walk by purpose. That is what it means to govern the mind. That is what it means to exercise the power of silence. There will be moments when stillness feels like inaction. You will be tempted to speak quickly, move impulsively, retaliate blindly. But remember this, The devil always attacks through urgency. Drift is always disguised as necessity. You must learn to delay the impulse and wait until your inner law confirms the next move. The man of purpose speaks less and builds more. He does not need applause to stay motivated. He does not need recognition to stay loyal. His mind is not fed by noise. It is sharpened in stillness. This man is rare, but where he appears, order returns, strength flows, progress resumes. You may say, but if I am still, I will be left behind. That is not so, for the world honors the man who moves deliberately, not frantically. A man who is still in collapse is trusted in restoration. A man who is calm in loss is trusted in leadership. Stillness is not stagnation. It is precision. It is intention. It is strength under spiritual control. When the world around you loses its structure, do not follow it. Become the structure. When your plans fall, do not fall with them. Become the plan. When your support disappears, do not plead. Become your own foundation. That is the power of stillness. That is what separates the commander from the coward. Stillness in crisis is not coldness. It is confidence. It is the quiet certainty that infinite intelligence is working through your patience. That your silence is not empty. It is loaded with power. That your decision to remain composed is not denial, it is dominion. Let this picture be fixed in your mind. Let the storm rage. I remain unmoved. Say it aloud. Speak it when your fears knock. Speak it when your doubts shout. Speak it until your subconscious accepts it as law, because the man who remains unmoved is the man who cannot be defeated. You are not weak for resting in stillness. You are strong for refusing to react. You are not behind for being quiet. You are ahead for being wise. You are not losing time. You are investing energy. That is what the wise do. That is what the powerful understand. That is what the great men I studied all practiced. Do you know what Edison did when his factory burned to the ground? He stood there, silent, watching the flames. Someone asked, "Aren't you devastated?" He said, "No, I'll rebuild it better." No panic, no anger, just presence, just stillness, just the posture of a man who knew that power could not be burned by fire. If you will study the men who rose from the ashes, you will find a common thread. They did not weep louder than they believed. They did not shake louder than they planned. They did not react, they responded. And response is the fruit of stillness. It is what emerges when a man has trained himself to wait before acting. Now listen to me. The devil cannot possess a still mind. The drifter is easy prey, for he moves without direction. But the man of stillness, he cannot be deceived, for he does not move until he knows. He does not speak until he means. He does not act until he has seen. And so the devil passes over him, for he is untouchable. You must build that level of mental control, that level of emotional authority, that level of spiritual command, not once, not occasionally, but daily, through discipline, through repetition, through silence, until stillness becomes your natural state, until calmness becomes your identity. And when the fire comes, and it will, you will not be found trembling, you will be found watching. And when others run, you will walk forward. And when others scream, you will speak purpose. And when others fall, you will stand. That is the power of stillness. That is your inheritance. Take it. Let us continue. Part 5. Autosuggestion is your shield against mental collapse. There is a voice inside you that speaks louder than all your enemies, all your failures, all your trials. That voice is your own, and it is either your shield or your ruin. When the world falls apart, when silence surrounds you, when conditions contradict your vision, that is when your voice must rise. That is when autosuggestion becomes your shield. Autosuggestion is not a game, it is not theory, it is not comfort, it is a law more precise and more powerful than gravity. It is the law by which a man programs his subconscious mind to believe what he commands. And what the subconscious mind believes, it creates. This is not a hopeful idea, it is a working fact of mental chemistry. You cannot always control what others say to you, but you can always control what you say to yourself. And what you say to yourself repeatedly, morning and night, in trial and in triumph, becomes your internal government. It becomes the root of your identity. And your identity is the soil from which your success grows. When crisis strikes, most men fall not because of the blow, but because they allow fear to take the microphone inside their own mind. They speak failure. They speak doubt. They say, "I am ruined," or "I don't know what to do," or "It's hopeless." They do not realize that their own words are planting the seeds of their destruction. But the man of autosuggestion understands. He does not wait for motivation. He does not wait for good news. He speaks his truth into existence. He takes the affirmation he has chosen, the definite chief aim he has written, the self-confidence formula he has memorized, and he speaks them aloud with power, whether he feels it or not. Let me give it to you straight. The voice you believe in your darkest hour will write your destiny. If you believe fear, you will live in fear. If you believe defeat, you will embody defeat. But if you declare your purpose, if you repeat your affirmation, if you hold to your inner command even while the world burns, you will rise. Let us recall the wisdom of Andrew Carnegie, who trained men to declare success long before they experienced it. He would instruct them to speak wealth, speak composure, speak faith, even when their bank accounts and surroundings said otherwise. And those who obeyed that command became millionaires, not by chance, but by design. You are no different. You may say, "But I do not feel powerful." I say to you, feelings are not the measure. Repetition is. You may say, "But I don't believe it yet." I say, you are not required to believe fully today. You are required to speak it until belief is formed. That is how every great man was made. Now take this affirmation and etch it into your morning, into your night, into your hardship and your routine. Every hour I speak power. Every thought I sow becomes the strength I reap. I do not collapse, I command. I do not beg, I believe. I speak my chief aim aloud until it moves the world. Do not speak casually. Speak with intensity. Speak with decision. Do not mumble these words. Declare them. Stand tall when you say them. Breathe deeply. Let your tone carry weight. Because your subconscious does not respond to weak suggestion. It responds to emotionalized repetition. I have said it before, and I will say it again. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between reality and command. It only knows what is repeated with belief. And once it accepts a statement as true, it goes to work, day and night, waking and sleeping, to bring that truth into expression. Therefore, never speak what you do not want. Never say, "I can't," unless you desire inability. Never say, "It's too late," unless you wish to curse your opportunity. Never say, "I'm tired," unless you are ready to invite exhaustion. Instead, say this: "I am prepared. I am guided. I am unshakable. I am rising." Even when you feel confusion, speak clarity. Even when you feel delay, speak urgency. Even when you feel weakness, speak strength. Because what you feel is fleeting, but what you declare becomes permanent. Your word is law in the temple of your subconscious. Speak it like a king. Let me give you structure. Each morning, stand before your written chief aim. Speak it aloud with energy. Then declare your self-confidence formula with full tone. Then read the affirmation that governs your mind. And do the same again before sleep. This is not superstition. This is mental engineering. Repeat after me now. When everything falls, let not my words fall with it. Let them rise. Let them command. Let them prove to infinite intelligence that I am ready. Say this every time fear approaches. Say it when fatigue whispers. Say it when old beliefs try to return. Say it until fear gives up trying. You must understand, crisis activates every lie you've ever believed about yourself. The old voices return. The doubts reawaken. The ghosts of past failure come knocking, but they have no power unless you let them speak louder than your purpose. Do not give them that microphone. Do not let your mouth betray your destiny. If you could see how closely your subconscious listens to your every word, you would never again joke about failure. You would never again say, "Just my luck," or "Things never go right." You would guard your language as you would guard a sacred flame, because that flame creates. And once lit, it cannot be ignored. Men have used this law to build fortunes, to recover from ruin, to create health, leadership, influence, peace. And it is not because they were chosen, it is because they chose what to say to themselves. They chose to repeat power when power felt far away. And in doing so, they made power return. I warn you now, when you stop speaking your affirmation, you begin drifting. Drift enters through silence, through forgetfulness, through laziness, and drift always leads to collapse. But discipline in declaration leads to dominion, and dominion leads to reward. So I command you now, write your affirmations, review your aim, memorize your formula, and never let a day pass without speaking your truth into your own soul. If no one else believes you, fine. Let them wait. Let them scoff. But you must believe and speak as one who knows. When everything else fails, speak. When all support disappears, speak. When no opportunity appears, speak. When delay stretches long, speak. Because speech is creation. And no collapse can overcome a man who uses his voice as a weapon of faith. Let your final affirmation today be this: I do not need approval. I do not need signs. I speak truth. I plant faith. I harvest strength. And I command my mind because my mind is mine. Part 6. The enemy is drift, not difficulty. Difficulty is not the danger. You were built for difficulty. You were born with the power to overcome. You have within you the faculties of reason, decision, imagination, and willpower. These were not given to decorate your life, but to conquer it. Difficulty sharpens these powers. It trains the spirit. It strengthens character. But drift destroys them. The average man spends his life fearing hardship when he should fear something far more subtle, far more deadly: drift. Drift is the state of mind in which a man lives without purpose, moves without direction, acts without intention. It is not loud. It is not dramatic. It does not announce itself. It steals the soul quietly, by degrees, until the man who once dreamed is lost. When life becomes hard, drift offers escape. It whispers, "Why bother?" It says, "Rest a while." It says, "Try something else." It says, "There is no rush." And while it speaks, your vision fades, your strength decays, and your inner authority dies. That is the true enemy, and it must be named. It must be resisted. It must be conquered. Pain with purpose builds power. Pain without purpose produces paralysis. A man can endure great trials so long as he knows why he is enduring. But remove the purpose, and even small tasks become unbearable. That is why a definite chief aim is the cure to drift. Because no man can drift who holds a fixed star in his mind. Drift is the state where failure becomes permanent. Difficulty is not failure, drift is. Because drift does not challenge you to grow. It asks nothing of you. It rewards your weakness. It deadens your desire. It kills without violence. It turns kings into beggars not by battle, but by boredom. Let us remember John D. Rockefeller, who faced public hatred, economic sabotage, and political assault. Did he drift? Number, he expanded. He organized. He outthought his enemies. And he never let temporary hardship confuse him about his identity. He knew what he was building, and he moved with cold clarity, even through the furnace. You must decide who you are in the presence of hardship. Drift tells you that your pain means you are not meant for this path. But the truth is, pain is proof that you are on sacred ground. Pain without drift becomes momentum. Pain without drift becomes transformation, but pain with drift becomes death to purpose. Let me speak this into you now. The law does not reward movement, it rewards intention. Action without aim is drift in disguise. Busyness is not progress. Only action with direction, persistence and faith will bear fruit. So ask yourself now, are you acting from purpose, or are you simply moving to avoid stillness? Drift has many disguises. It may wear the clothes of entertainment or the mask of productivity. It may sound like self-care or speak like caution. But in every case, it has one mission: to keep you from declaring your purpose, demanding progress, and moving toward it without apology. To fight drift, you must declare war. You must hold court with your own mind and issue this command. I am not a drifter. I decide, I act, I persist, I rise, I reject delay, I destroy distraction. I command my life. This is not a speech. It is your spiritual oath. And you must take it every day. Do not say, I'm stuck, when you are drifting. Say what is true. I have allowed the enemy of drift to enter, but I now shut the door. Return to your chief aim. Return to your affirmations. Return to stillness, focus, and discipline. This is how you drive out the parasite of drift. You were not made to drift. You were made to dominate. And domination is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself, your thoughts, your schedule, your language, your decisions. These are the sacred tools of a man who refuses to drift and demands to rise. Even now, as you hear these words, the devil of drift may whisper, "You've heard this before." But hear me. Drift is not defeated by knowledge. It is defeated by repetition. And until your resistance becomes automatic, until your actions become obedient to aim, you must continue to repeat these laws daily, faithfully. I have seen men of brilliance fall to drift because they never organized their days around their purpose. I have seen men of wealth collapse into misery because they lost direction. I have seen men of faith grow cold because they no longer decided, and I have seen the opposite. Men of average talent become giants because they never drifted. So I say this to you. Every man must declare war, not on life's hardship, but on drifting in the face of it. Difficulty is a gift. It strengthens, it clarifies, it humbles. But drift is a thief. It flatters, then destroys. Do not be deceived. Do not tolerate it. Do not allow it to speak in your mind another day. Let this be your daily affirmation. I know my purpose. I hold my course. I destroy distraction. I obey my plan. I do not drift. I do not wait. I act. I advance. I succeed. Speak it when your energy fades. Speak it when your thoughts wander. Speak it until you become the very law that crushes drift beneath your feet. The man who conquers drift cannot be conquered, because he is not led by chance or emotion or delay. He is led by purpose, and purpose, once decided, makes every step sacred, even the painful ones. Let this be your resolution. When the next hardship arrives, I will not flee into noise, escape, or confusion. I will face it. I will think. I will plan. I will act. And I will stand in the authority of a man who refuses to be ruled by anything but his vision. This is not motivational. This is strategic. You do not drift into a rich life. You do not drift into fulfillment. You do not drift into greatness. You decide, you act, you repeat, you endure, and you rise. Let us continue. Part 7. Persistence is proof. You are worthy. You say you want power. You say you want freedom. You say you want success. Then I ask you one question. Can you persist when nothing answers? Can you continue when the door is locked, the wind is cold, and the voice within says, "Why try again?" That moment, when you are tempted to retreat, is the moment you are being weighed. God does not hand crowns to the comfortable. He does not grant thrones to the impatient. The riches of life are not given to those who merely desire. They are reserved for those who endure without complaint, act without evidence, and walk without applause. Persistence is not a habit. It is a sign. It is how the universe identifies those who are worthy of more. Look at Napoleon Bonaparte. exiled, dethroned, betrayed, but never broken. He returned when others would have vanished. He rebuilt when others would have wept. And while history remembers his flaws, it cannot forget his persistence, for persistence is the signature of greatness written in the blood of pressure, time, and opposition. Persistence is spiritual warfare. It is not comfort, it is conquest. When you persist beyond the logic of man, beyond the timeline of your friends, beyond the deadline of the world, you rise into a new rank. You become one of the few who are watched by infinite intelligence, marked for increase, and trusted with advancement. The weak man demands signs before continuing. The strong man creates signs by continuing. Every step you take after the world says, "It's over," becomes sacred. Each repetition becomes a spiritual act. Each refusal to quit becomes a decree. And those decrees do not go unnoticed. The universe records them. God hears them. The world bends before them. You say you want to be chosen. Then act like one who has been. Speak faith in silence. Take action in delay. Return to your purpose when your emotions say it's pointless. And let this affirmation live in your mouth. I will not stop. I will not speak defeat. I will persist. I will be rewarded. Persistence is not noise. It is not drama. It is decision in motion. It is the quiet continuation of action when the applause has faded and the audience has left. It is what separates the boy from the builder, the dreamer from the doer, the seeker from the successor. Let me be clear. Every test of your life is secretly a test of your persistence. The test is not about how loud you believe. It is about how long you continue. Will you build the business when no one supports it? Will you write the plan when no one reads it? Will you walk the vision when no one understands it? If yes, then you are worthy. And when the voice comes that says you've done enough, say back, I haven't done all. When the delay grows long, say, that's because the reward will be great. When you hear, what if this is all for nothing? Respond, that voice is not from faith. I persist because I must. Persistence is not optional. It is required. It is not a trait you choose. It is a law you obey. Just as a seed must persist through soil to reach sunlight, you must persist through hardship to reach your destiny. And each step you take, however painful, makes you more unshakable, more certain, more whole. Let this be written on your walls. Calm is not weakness. It is the armor of the man who will not be denied. For the man who persists is calm. He does not beg for miracles. He becomes one. He does not wait for signs. He walks by law. He does not drift. He decides. And because he decides, he dominates. Part 8. God gives only to the proven. This is the truth that will divide your life forever. God does not give to the unproven. He does not place crowns upon the heads of the passive. He does not promote those who demand ease. He promotes the man who has stood through contradiction, endured delay without doubt, and walked in silence without wavering. The great reward is not withheld, it is prepared, and it is only given to the one who has become strong enough to carry it. If your blessing has not arrived, it is not because you are cursed. It is because you are still in training, still in testing, still being measured. And the hand of infinite intelligence will not release greatness into a vessel that leaks faith under pressure. Recall Edison still creating after 10,000 failures. Recall Carnegie still building when others mocked. Recall Lincoln still hoping after public disgrace. Recall Ford still producing when critics declared him finished. These were not men of convenience, they were men of proof. And because they proved themselves, they were entrusted with more. The law is exact. Before God gives a man wealth, he tests his heart. Before he gives him power, he tests his motives. Before he gives him leadership, he tests his loyalty. Before he gives him freedom, he tests his discipline. And every test is disguised in the cloak of delay, opposition, and contradiction. If you are facing contradiction, rejoice. It means the test is active. It means you have been called to prove yourself. Do not beg for comfort. Embrace the challenge. For the only men who never feel pressure are those who have already failed and accepted their drift. But the ones being prepared, they are tested. Let this be your daily affirmation. I do not need evidence. I carry proof in my spirit. I am chosen. I am calm. I will not faint. I will not drift. Say it with boldness. Say it when fear knocks. Say it when the voices question your direction. Say it until your very cells obey it. If he did not test you, you would not be trusted. Every moment you persist without applause is recorded. Every step you take through confusion is recorded. Every refusal to quit, every act of faith without sight, every stand you take while others fall, all of it is seen. And when the test is complete, the reward arrives, not by accident, but by law. When your storm ends, and it will, you will rise not just richer, but different, not just stronger, but immortal in spirit, not just successful, but transformed. Because the fire did not burn you, it baptized you. And now you are ready. You are proven. You are chosen. And nothing can be denied to a soul who has passed the test with calmness, faith, and persistence. You have walked through silence and kept your song. You have endured darkness and kept your lamp. You have lost things, but not yourself. And now you are qualified. Now the door opens. Now the treasure is released, not because it was late, but because now you are ready to carry it without pride, without fear, and without drift. Let this final truth thunder in your heart. If you are in the fire, rejoice, your blessing is near, but only the calm, the definite, the disciplined shall receive it. That is the law, that is the reward, that is the destiny of the one who remains while others retreat. Let your next step prove what your last trial already revealed. You are one of the few, and the few are always favored. Let us now rise.